Fortnite is at a very critical point in its lifetime, and we are going to discuss certain things that we think are leading up to this. And we're going to discuss some things that we think should be changed and why the community might be the way it is currently right now. So let's break down why Fortnite is at its lowest player count of all time, and let's see maybe what we could do to remedy that. So we've been seeing collaboration after collaborations and even more collaborations. Now all of this really, for the most part, it's been to just incentivize people to, you know, buy V-Bucks and just kind of support the game and what it's trying to do and buy things in the item shop, right? But before we did have such huge collaborations to where things kind of not necessarily revolved around the collaboration. Okay, in a sense it did, but we kind of themed things out because we had a collaboration, and I think that made things fun. But it also turned to a point where now the collaborations just seem to be there just because Fortnite wants you to buy the skins, and there's just so many, one after the other, and it doesn't seem to affect the game, the storyline at all. And I think players miss a bit of a storyline and the collaborations meaning something. In fact, we had Marvel the first time around. Now, I didn't get to play that, but it seemed like the theme of it was heavily influencing the loot pool, it was influencing the map, and it was influencing gameplay, which I think was fun to a lot of the members of the Fortnite community. Again, I didn't get to experience the first round of collaboration with Marvel, but the second round in Chapter 5 was pretty fun to me. Now, recently we've had a collaboration with Power Rangers for Chapter 6 Season 4. Now, there are Power Rangers on the map, and they're NPCs to talk to. But ultimately, they're not really affecting things all that much, really at all. You don't see them fighting bugs off. You don't really see them saving anyone or anything. They're just kind of there. Now, I wish that maybe we had a little more interaction with the Power Rangers and maybe had them roaming around the map. I don't know, just saving some of the NPCs, little small events with them, something to that degree. I think they're just plotted there, you know? Now, by the time that this video is going up, we will have the Megazord released, and that will be something that kind of changes things how we play and interact with the map. But I think before, whenever we'd have something big like this, there was like an event or it kind of tailored to a storyline or something. Now it's just kind of like, here they come. We did community missions that don't really matter, and it's getting plopped into the map. Now, they are fun to use most of the time. We had Godzilla, we had Dr. Doom, which actually did kind of have a bit of a tie-in with the whole Marvel theme and everything affecting the island and stuff like that. So that was actually pretty cool. And that was a recent happening in Chapter 5. So that was cool. But when we had Godzilla come in, it started to change. These like collaborations, they just felt like they were being thrown in. They weren't meant for a theme or anything. It wasn't meant for like a storyline thing. It was just, oh, there it is. And maybe there were some sort of secret things kind of like telling you that it was going to happen, but it was just a short dialogue or something that's kind of hard to get to nowadays with the level of skill players have. It is hard to follow the theme inside of the island. I think this is another part of why players might be struggling to enjoy Fortnite the way we used to. When the theme mattered, the story mattered. We actually seem to have time to kind of look around the map and just get a feel for what's going on with the story. I think maybe, yes, with everybody keying, you know, the term keying, pushing everybody, and with all the mobility that we've had added and the way players play nowadays, with the wins not mattering that much, so players aren't really avoiding each other. They're actually just trying to find each other and hunt each other down for the whole entirety of the match. So I think that pressure kind of doesn't allow players to really explore the story or the island anymore. So I think that's a big part of it, because I do think the story and the theme was something that people in Fortnite, the Fortnite community, loved. But nowadays, there's no time. You're pressured constantly by the sweatiest of sweaty. I admit, I am a sweaty player. You're constantly being hunted down by another player off spawn or something. And with the addition of all the movement and power weapons, there's not much escapability chance unless you're in a car or something like that. And cars, I don't really approve too much of, but they're there. We gotta deal with them, right? I think that also has been a reason why people can't really explore the island too much or take time with it, is because we have those cars. I think it changes the pace of things when you're rotating through the map, so you don't really take in the enjoyment of things that Fortnite put into the island. So you don't really see any of the special things too much. You don't really take a notice of the cool little special things. Like, we have little robots around the map doing funny little things on the map, but not a lot of players are really kind of seeing that or even really care that it exists. I think partially because we also have a ton of bugs running around, making all this noise, causing interruptions whenever you're trying to look at things. And you have the sweat chasing you down, and you're always getting keyed down by sweat. So I understand that. I get it. It's hard to explore the island and enjoy the themes that, even if Fortnite tried to make a key point, I think these days it's a little bit harder for people to kind of take in and enjoy. So here comes a possible remedy. I think possibly collecting cinematics that maybe are found on the island, as they did in chapter 6. There was an end kind of like cinematic for what happened with Daigo transitioning to the the demon version of him, the possessed version of him, right? I think maybe adding little collectibles where you could get a cool little cinematic like that. I think Mortal Kombat's done this before, similar, like in the crypt. They had like a crypt thing where you could unlock with in-game coins and currency. You could purchase little crypts that had like secret audio, secret cosmetics, secret cinematics that you could actually get. So maybe like adding fun little in-game things like that might be pretty fun. I don't know. I'm not sure how that would go with the sweats and the pressure of all that, but I think that's a way to push the storyline and have a way for people to view the storyline when they're not on the island, because then, you know, they're not pressured and fighting. They can just collect it and then they can look at it later. And then you could have hidden Easter eggs too, in that sense, with that. And now that still doesn't really solve the issue with not being able to explore the island and take it in and all of that. That's still probably never going to change. The new meta, the new air of the game, that's just how it works. It's hard to explore the island and fully take it in and enjoy it. That's just how it is these days. What Fortnite could do, they could use their social media to highlight certain fun parts of the map, and they could put little puzzles out that, you know, even creators could interact with and be like, wow, I'm gonna go on this Easter egg hunt. And because they're better players, usually the creators, they should be able to fight off, you know, their stream snipers. And maybe that's a fun way to get the community to enjoy watching creators as well again. And I think overall as a whole, the issue is that players in the community are so split. We have creators, we have casuals, we have the sweats, we have the pros, we have the stream snipers, we have the crazy negative side of things, the players that are saying really bad things. We have really positive players. We have people that are there for all the cosmetics. We have people that are there for the gameplay. We have people that are there that want the story. We have people that are there that only want OG. We have people that are there that only want reload. We have people that only care about Lego and all these other crazy things that Fortnite's put out, right? So all the player base wants Fortnite to revolve around them. Fortnite is trying to take in everything that all of its player base wants. And I think the loudest voices oftentimes are not the right voices. So Fortnite has been doing nerf after nerf, and this season has been nerfed into the ground. The most very fun things like double, triple, quadra pumping was gone almost immediately, but it was hilarious. It was absolutely hilarious, but it was gone almost immediately. So not much time to enjoy it. There were the medallions. Now, strangely, yes, overpowered, but a lot of fun. I don't think even just having that player, you know, the best players keying down the lobby really ruined it too much. And I think because that was removed from casuals, and in ranked you're not going to get a queue to get them. I think because it was removed from casuals, it kind of just made the game bland. I think it made it bland, at least with the bosses in there. I think maybe if the bosses were removed completely, no mythics, no medallions, I think if you removed all of that, then it would have been okay. But you still left in, there's a queen that spawns, and mythics and exotics that you can get. Still having those powerful weapons in the game, you're still leaving something that, you know, the strongest player is trying to go for. So you didn't really remove the issue of the medallions. All you really did was just made those strongest players, well, a little bit less strong, I guess, and a lot less fun. So me personally, I think having those objectives mid game to beginning to end game, I think it does help push the pace of the game. But if you wanted the pacing to be anything like it was with the OG days, you'd have to remove the exotics, the mythics, the medallions, and just, you know, all the caches and things like that. But if you've played OG, which a lot of people still do, and here's another thing, a lot of people love just the OG playlist, the OG ways. I've spoken to some OG players who only like OG because, well, they like the map and they like the loot pool. And that changes the pacing, right? That is an OG pacing. It's much slower, much campier, and it's more rewarding to instant elims and things like that with powerful, well, like explosive weapons, snipers, with hand cannons, with instant pumps, things like that, right? So they basically are just waiting for that instant elim so they can wait again to find another instant elim. So if you made current BR similar to that pacing, yeah, it would change things, and maybe certain players would love it more. But again, you're losing other players who love the mobility and the fast pace and everything, right? So it's all a balance of which player base do you want to hold on to more for Fortnite. And for the Fortnite players, it's, well, do you want BR to go in a certain direction that's basically taking steps back to what it used to be, which a lot of the players do. So you can see that OG has about 35,000 players, and that's probably the voice that's saying that they want, plus the zero build players, which is at about 23,000. Okay, so we're saying that's about 60,000 ish, a little bit less, 55,000 or so. Okay, now these guys and girls, these guys and gals, they want the slower pacing. They enjoy that, and they enjoy the simpler map and the simpler loot. Now, I can understand the enjoyment in that, but it is a bit nostalgic. So if you look at the current mindset of the current BR, I think it is much more enjoyable than it is the OG mindset. I think the current mindset for Battle Royale is a much more quicker pace for chasing down players to fight them, and a better way for players that are more aggressive to be rewarded, to find players and be able to reposition and fight them, and deal with players that are hiding and things like that, right? I think that's a little bit more fun than the very slow and patient, insanely patient meta of OG, which OG was fun. I will admit, OG was very, very fun, but the pacing I think was a little bit slow compared to what BR is now, which is my preference. But clearly OGs are in preference of the OG pace. So if we look at the numbers of zero build and Battle Royale, so Battle Royale is currently at 72,000 players at the time of this recording, and if we look at zero build Battle Royale, we have 117,000 players. Strangely enough, zero build has held its number much better than builds has. But here's where the kicker is, okay? I think the mindset of players has shifted for build players. They're very competitive, they love getting better, and they love playing against the better players. For the most part, the majority do. And they love doing this without overpowered explosives and snipers, I would think. I think still some do love the snipers and the explosives, but I think the majority wants to fight with the standard shotgun and AR or SMG meta. I think they enjoy that more. And I think that's evidenced by the numbers of reload. Now, if you look at the numbers of reload, if we have, for some reason I have reload 0 build as like a top on my other experiences suggested by Epic. I don't understand why, because I don't play 0 build that much, but that is at 18.6 thousand players. Okay, comparing that number to 0 build BR, we have 117,000. That is so much more, 100,000 players more in regular BR 0 build, which the casuals are generally in 0 build for the most part. That's just the truth. And it's strange because I thought casual players mostly did not enjoy the season, but if you look at those numbers on Battle Royale 0 build, they've held their numbers quite steadily. And the reason why I think casual players are mostly in 0 build as opposed to sweatier players, if you look at the ranked numbers in 0 build, you have 4.8k in reload, you have 4.8k in BR. Now, if you look at how small those numbers are compared to how big the number is in BR mode and reload mode, okay, very minimal amount of players in there. Now, if you look at the build numbers, okay, now it's known that reload can get very sweaty, especially ranked reload, right? Now look at these numbers for build, okay? So we have 47,000 players in reload ranked build. We have 8,000 players in BR ranked build. Now, if you compare this to the numbers of reload for 0 build, it's pretty clear which players, which style of players want ranked more, want to compete in ranked, want to play against the sweatier players in ranked. That's the builds players. The 0 build players are loving staying in the pubs. You can see it. And knowing that reload is the sweatier mode usually, look at how this number is lower, so much lower than BR for 0 build. Now, when you compare this to build, it is at 48,000 for ranked reload. We don't even see the regular reload number here. I don't even see the regular reload number here. So we're gonna go ahead and look at the regular reload number as well as the BR number, okay? BR is at 72k. Look, you have more than half of the players in ranked reload builds as you do BR mode build pubs, okay? It is pretty clear that builds players want to compete. They want the sweatier players, they want the better players, they want to get better, they want to fight them, right? And looking here, the numbers for reload are at less than ranked reload. You have more builds players in ranked reload, the sweatier mode, than you do in the pubs mode. So it's pretty clear that the majority of the casual players are in 0 build. Now look at the numbers at Blitz Royale as well, another very casual mode that's 0 build. 53,000 players. You have so much more than you do reload as well as ranked 0 build reload. Are you seeing what I'm kind of getting at with these numbers, right? If you look at the number comparison, builds players want to play ranked. They want sweatiness, they want competition. 0 build players are generally casual players. This is a huge divide in the player base on what they want. If you look at all of the playlists that we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then if you add in Blitz, 6, and then 7. Respawn is a 0 build mode now. That is 7 0 build modes. We're not counting ballistics. That's 7 0 build modes. So why do we have these ranked playlists for the 0 build players who in general really don't want to play ranked? I think that's splitting the player base for an unnecessary reason. These players really aren't even getting queues to play. They're waiting 10-20 minutes probably just to get one match throughout the day. So what are we doing having those playlists really? And then if you go and look at what players and builds want, who want ranked, you have low numbers in BR ranked because they're just tired of the queue times. The queue times have gotten so long, and the better players, the better performance of the servers and everything has gone to ranked reload. So that's where every player is fighting for builds, and that's what they want. They want the best players, they want to compete. So it's pretty clear that rank needs a bit of an overhaul as well. So that's what we're hoping rank 2.0 is going to solve, which Epic is already looking at, which is a good thing. So in general, if 0 build players are pretty much all casual, if they don't want to play ranked? Why do we have so many ranked modes for them when they clearly don't want it? And clearly Builds players want ranked, so why not overhaul things for them? Why not focus the ranked and competitive side for the Build players so that they can enjoy better queue times and more competition and sweatiness in their playlists? And why are we putting out so many playlists for competitive and ranked modes for zero build players who clearly do not want it? Zero build tournaments were announced in the last globals, in the 2025 globals in Lyon. Why are we pushing that narrative when we clearly knew there was more cheaters in tournaments for zero build, and we also have more players who are in pubs who do not want all those tournaments and everything for themselves? They don't. And I don't know if that's really going to help too much viewership in terms of Twitch viewership and social media and things like that, because we've already seen the competitive scene for Fortnite is doing extremely well. In fact, that is what is carrying the viewership and the promotion and honestly the bit of the social media side of things for Fortnite. And most of the players that do watch, that's kind of what they're looking for, is FNCS pro players, what's going on with them. And they haven't really cared too much about the creators anymore. Now they know they exist, but they don't really care too much about them anymore. I think most of those are the younger audience who kind of just want to play games with their favorite creators. So but I think a lot of actual viewership is coming from the competitive side, with pro players like Clicks who stream and things like that. I think that gets more viewership than really anything in terms of the creator side. And again, these guys are not zero build players. While they probably could be, I don't think that do much good for their viewership, because we want to see their skills and technique, which is shown through their builds and editing and through fighting that way. Okay, so here's all the player counts currently. I know you probably couldn't see it when I was talking through some of those, but I've moved the camera so you can kind of see what the player counts are right now. So I think really what all this shows is the mentality of the player base, and I think what Fortnite should take into consideration when they're creating things like new loopholes and decisions for storm damage and rotation items and things like that for ranked and competitive versus casual modes and zero build, etc. I think they should kind of consider where their player base is actually going to and what they really want when they hear these voices, like from the casual players and from the sweatier players, right? So a more competitive side, etc. I think they need to consider what their player counts are and who's really saying what they want with these changes and everything, right? They need to understand that. I think if you're hearing a lot about the casual side of things, it's mostly going to come from zero build. For the majority of it, it's mostly going to come from zero build. If you're seeing things coming more from the sweatier competitive players, it's probably coming out of the builds mode players for the most part. Now I know there's sweaty players in all modes, but if you look at the numbers, I think it's kind of clear what players want to play ranked, what players really don't want to play ranked too much. I mean, I think we all want to enjoy the pubs modes, right? But it's pretty clear which players kind of want ranked more, if that makes sense with these player counts. Hopefully that makes sense, right? So when you adjust things like taking medallions out of pubs, maybe you shouldn't take them out for builds completely, right? Maybe when you're changing the loophole for ranked, maybe you leave the tournament style mostly to builds and you don't do it to zero build, because I think zero build players want the cars, things like that. I think they enjoy that kind of thing, right? Most build players, yeah, they're okay with the cars, but I think most build players would be okay with cars getting kind of like turned to the wayside if you're doing this for ranked, right? Taking the cars out of the ranked mode, I think we're actually okay with that for the most part. Now, people can disagree with me, that's totally fine, but I think most builds players probably wouldn't want cars in ranked unless they're looking for free rank points, which honestly, Fortnite, we shouldn't really be giving out free rank points. I think Unreal should mean Unreal for a reason. I think a lot of creators have already stated this. Unreal should mean a lot. I don't think the current leaderboard is enough to make them think Unreal means anything. One of the big, I think most important things I do want to add, zero build has held its numbers pretty much for the most part. It's dipped, right? It has dropped. But I think that number, the 100,000s, has been pretty strong. So that is a big part of the casual base. I do think it is. And while they do have a loud voice, I think it needs to be filtered for which modes you make these changes for in terms of Fortnite side, right? So kind of, they need to think about what they're doing here, okay? They need to understand who likes what and what for, right? They need to understand these numbers kind of tell a story to them, as well as the whole OG thing, right? The whole OG playlist having 23,000 and 0 build, and OG builds having 35,000. That does tell another story as well that they need to kind of take into consideration. And I know they want to hold on to those players. Okay, so I don't know what's gonna fix that those players always want to play OG. I don't know if maybe you kind of swap in loot pools to the battle royale mode. And I think that's what they've been trying, right? Swapping in old loot to the current battle royale map could make OG players happy, right? And you might not always need a playlist for them, but you know, rotating maps like Apex does, could that solve issues for them? Or is it better, yeah, to just have these playlists for them and have more servers for them? That's a question I can't really answer. I personally think it does Fortnite really well to have that OG mode, but I think it puts a strain on them and the player base count that might not be the healthiest thing. And I think consolidating honestly probably would be a better thing for the community to make it look better to the community, because I think the health of the community is a lot on appearances. And if the play counts look low and the play counts look mixed and the play counts look just completely all over the place, I think players are going to be a little downhearted and even more exhausted with dealing with the queue times. So just kind of, I don't know, I think that's kind of something to think about for Fortnite side. And for the player side, I think for our mentalities, I think for the mentalities of the players, I think maybe you could take into consideration that, yeah, we've got so many players in different playlists, and yes, there are queue times that are getting pretty long, and there are some modes that really need to be reworked, but some queue times are not too bad. We can be okay with a little bit longer queue times, right? To have more real players, though, I think that's the thing. I think we really need more real players. Having this many bots and long queue times in pubs is a very big problem. I do not think any queue time should take as long as it does, having as many bots as we do, though. I do think that is a big problem. And I think bots in ranked is a very big problem and should not happen. Okay, now this is something that Epic needs to really take into consideration, because the ranked mode that they have, hopefully 2.0 solves this, but it should not have bots. I think every rank should just be thrown in together pretty much, and you beat a better player, you get more points. You lose to a better player, you lose, I don't know, probably less points, maybe something like that. Something of that sort, to where there should not be bots, okay, in ranked. There just shouldn't. And I understand the frustration with that from other players, okay, streamers and creators. Bots in general, man, it's tough to even want them in pubs. Okay, now I know players want them, but I think that's a part of the whole pacing thing. I think bots help the pacing for players that are kind of looking for a slower pace. I think that's what that is. I really do. So maybe take that into consideration as well. Also, bots should never laser. Like, they should never turn on full aimbot. Fortnite, don't do that. Why are they doing that? Okay, the bots thing is a whole other conversation, and it does affect currently the play count as well. I'm not gonna lie, the bots are affecting the play count. Fortnite, please, if anything you can take from this, the bots are affecting the play count, and we've said it time and time again. It is hurting play count. I know it affects the servers and everything too, but it is hurting play count severely, and it's making games feel unrewarding. So play count is low, but it can obviously make its comeback and do better. It's done it before time and time again. I think this is just a bit of a scare for a lot of people, because the season actually does feel a lot worse than any other season, especially with the player count low, right? It feels so much worse, but it's honestly not. It's not even the worst season. It just feels really bad because of like the numbers that they've got going on, because of the split they've got going on, because of the bots being in, because of the way ranked is and how you cannot get any queues. It's the queue times that do it as well, and the server performance. There's a lot of things that are built up into why this play count is so low and why this season feels really, really bad. But in general, I think it's not even the worst season. It's not. It's just the way it was presented, the way it's been handled, and the way that it has been adjusted has made it feel like the very worst season. I think we have good things on the horizon. I think Fortnite just needs to hone things in, look at their roots, look at where they want to go, look at where they're at, and adjust accordingly. And look at the numbers of what people enjoy. Go to Twitch and really see what people are enjoying on Twitch. There needs to be a group that assesses what people are enjoying on Twitch. That is very important, by the way. That's really important to the game. And as a player base, keep speaking up, telling Fortnite what you think is good and bad. All the voices, every side, every party, because that's something to take in consideration from the whole community as well as the side of Epic and Fortnite for them to decide as well. So keep speaking up on it. Keep voicing your opinions. That's important. It really is. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you'd like to discuss the stuff with me, my name's DoodLetsGame. Put it down in the comments below. You can find me on stream on twitch.tv/DoodLetsGame. My internet sucks, so my stream runs really poorly, so you can ask and post stuff there, but it's gonna be a little bit hard. And you know, I have TikTok as well. You can talk to me on there, so you can always put comments in there and stuff like that. But put your opinions. I would like to hear what you guys think about what's going on with Fortnite and the player count and why we're in the state that we're at, where we could go, what we could do, what you think should change. Voice your opinion, man. Make sure you guys like this video, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell notification button so you can get notified when I'm posting more videos. Again, my name is DoodLetsGame. Thank you so much for watching. It's a little bit of a different one, but this is important that we talk about this stuff, okay? For the sake of the Fortnite community, for the sake of the Fortnite future. Let's get it, man. See you guys in the next video. Enjoy your games. Peace out.